35192 if you want to text. Pantera fans are kind of trying to figure out why they've announced that they're going to go on tour next year, on a reunion tour. Even though the Abbott brothers are dead, they were the only remaining original members. Vinnie Paul, Dimebag, both gone. So it's going to be Phil Anselmo and Rex Brown. And the rumor is Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante, who's a longtime drummer for Anthrax, are going to round out the lineup. I was never a massive Pantera fan. I don't think there's enough low end in their production.
I think of everybody here, probably Mary's the biggest Pantera fan.
That's what she told me in the break.
This came on in the car the other day, and it was just the instrumentals, the beginning, some ramp of the song, and I told my friend, I was like, I really like this. He was like, just give it a minute. And then when the vocals kicked in, I was like, damn it, that's what metal does, because I like the instrumentals.
Yes.
But I hate the way their voices sound.
No, I understand. But I mean, Vinnie Paul and Dimebag were kind of the lifeblood of Pantera, and now what I would really like is for these guys to go on tour, but do the early Pantera stuff when they were still a glam band. Like early 80s to 1990, the first decade of Pantera's existence, they sounded like Def Leppard.
Really?
Like Hysteria Def Leppard. Yeah. So they put out 3 or 4 albums, I think, in the 80s, and they were still a glam band. And then Anselmo came in, and they were like, we got to do something different. But even Pantera fans are like, what? Who is this for? What's the point of this? I love Zakk Wylde. I like Anthrax. But the rumors, I think, have been confirmed that Phil Anselmo and Rex Brown, they've signed with some booking agency that is going to send them out on tour in 2023. So I think Zakk Wylde is a dynamite pick for that. But it just seemed weird to me. I always liked Pantera a lot more live than recorded. But of course, Dimebag was killed on stage in Columbus, a decade and a half ago, and Vinnie Paul died a few years ago. He was just a big dude whose heart gave out, I think. And Phil Anselmo's had his share of issues over the years. Half the time people think he's doing a white power thing, and he's rejected that notion on a number of occasions. But if they could go out, if I'm hearing Mary Santora correct, and I think that I am, if they could go out and do an instrumentals-only tour...
I would go. I really would. I don't mind the music.
It's just Rex and Zakk and Charlie Benante out there. Phil Anselmo just collects the checks and stays at home with his feet up on the couch.
Very screamy, whatever was on. It was very loud, but I was like, I can get into these drums and guitar. This is pretty solid.
Yeah.
But he knew me. Brian
Your
knew
boy
me.
Probably likes Pantera.
Oh, a lot. Yeah, he's a big fan of Pantera.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't mind the growling and screaming in any band for the most part, but Pantera, for some reason, never, scratched my itch.
Mm-hmm.
Got breaking news.
Hold on. Is this that French's does, in fact, make ketchup?
No.
Oh.
Alan Cox Show! Exclusive news update!
Ivana Trump, the ex-wife of former President Donald Trump, has died at age 73.
Wow, really?
Alan Cox Show! Exclusive news update!
Complications of plastic surgery, or?
Too much money.
She was found under a pile of money?
Mm-hmm. Crushed her. All coins. That was the problem.
Wow.
Doesn't have cause of death.
73. Huh. Well, that sucks for the kids, because that's their mom.
Melania didn't have any of the kids?
Barron, the
okay.
youngest one.
Yeah.
Yep, who is wisely out of the picture.
And then he's got, what's the Tiffany Trump?
Tiffany Trump,
She's got a different mom, too.
Marla Maples was Tiffany's mom. Manhattan paramedics responded to a call for cardiac arrest, and they found Ivana Trump after noon today.
That's the only way a Trump can get arrested.
Yeah, is cardiac arrest. So, yeah.
I wonder if Trump will cry. I've never seen him cry ever.
No, why would he?
It's his ex-wife. He probably hates her.
He doesn't hate her.
I mean, I can't imagine there's a lot of love lost there. I mean, I was really surprised. I always wondered if she came to his defense under duress when the whole when he was blowing up. As a budding fascist. For somebody who grew up under communist rule, you would have thought that she would have taken a different tack. But
no, wife, ex-wife, like you're still connected for life.
It's his kid's mom.
You're connected through your children. That's different. Matter. Like my ex-wife and I. Well, first of all, you don't have an ex-wife. I'll tell you from the perspective of somebody who has an ex-wife and children.
He said it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He says, right? Okay. Well, anyway, all I'm saying is that you're connected from your children, right? You talk to most people who are divorced. They would never converse if they didn't have children. Yeah. A lot of them, right? Even if it's an amicable split. I mean, my ex-wife and I are on pretty good terms, but it doesn't take much to, tip that balance one way or the other, you know?
Because you just tolerate each other for the kids.
I think so.
For the kids, but so that it's an easy...
Do you think that she likes you?
My ex-wife tolerates me. I don't think of it that way with her.
Yeah.
But I mean, it took us a long time to get there. But and our kids are older. When they were little, it was a lot more tenuous, boy. Yeah. And it was mostly my fault that we split up. So,
my sister said the other day, the best thing that I've ever done is introduce her to my ex-wife.
There you go.
What?
Your sister said that?
Yeah, because my ex-wife is still.
Everyone loves your ex-wife.
She's great. When you're not married to her, she's the best. But yeah, they she's a big part of our family still.
Yeah.
So
I say
there's not a lot of animosity towards each other. We just didn't work out marriage wise, but we're good co-parents together. We get along together. We don't fight or anything.
Well, when Gwen and I got married, Erica felt weird because she wasn't invited to our wedding, and I said, I'm not inviting anyone from here to our wedding. It was in Chicago, and it was mostly our Chicago friends and family or whatever. And we were like, well, Bill got invited. I said, no, his wife got invited because she's one of my wife's best friends.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with Bill.
Right.
She just happens to be married to Bill.
We almost didn't give her a +1.
That's right.
You can come.
I would have stayed home.
The invitation strictly said no children.
I'm pretty friendly.
Drink all that Jim Beam though.
Oh, it was a good time though, boy.
I'm pretty friendly with my boyfriend's ex-wife, and we follow each other on Instagram, and we'll reply to each other's stories and things like that. And it bothered him at the beginning, where he'd be like, "Stop being friends with." I'm like, "We're not hanging out. It's not like we're going and having coffee, but it's nice enough that we can exchange a text every now and then." You know?
Independent George and relationship George, a George divided against itself. Yeah, Gwen and my ex-wife don't really have any relationship. They're in another state anyway, so it's when we're all together, it's amicable and it's fine, but there's no skin in either of those games.
Right.
So
well, we still have to do pickups and drop-offs and things like Brian will be at work or whatever, so it's that can't be a closed door, I feel like.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, and people are just so they have their ideas of what a relationship is supposed to be or how you do things, and Mary and I were talking about this in the break, where people are very damaged by past relationships or past traumas. So they can't even wrap their head around certain situations because they go, mine was so bad, how could anybody do this?
All women do this, or all men do this, or all marriages.
So if you have an ex-wife and they're, because of their experience with their ex-wife, they're like, every ex-wife is the worst thing that's ever existed.
Well, and on the Trump end, the reason I say I can't imagine him crying is just because of the way that he is reported to be, but also it didn't matter who he was married to. He was always poking someone else.
Right.
Marla Maples was his mistress and divorced his wife, married her, had a kid, then cheated on her. Yeah, poked Stormy Daniels when Melania was pregnant. So that's not a guy who cries at your funeral.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That'll be in the news cycle. Could you elaborate on the reason for the split from your wife? People who are newer to the show.
Today's their first day.
Yeah, first day, right. Well, I cheated on my ex-wife. That's why we got divorced. We went through this was week 1 of the show when I started talking about that. It was.
What did she do to make you
I was
cheat?
an infidel.
That's what I want to know.
Well, when we were in couples therapy, I brought that up so many times. I go, look, I'm just a man.
What wasn't she giving you? What could she have done better so you wouldn't have cheated? That's
What was
all
she
I want to
wearing,
know, bro.
Alan?
I know.
That's
Was
what
it
I
all
want to know, bro.
sweatpants?
Yeah.
She stopped shaving. What was it? What pushed you away?
I was an infidel, and but we went through the marriage counseling and all that kind of stuff. But it becomes clear to you, whatever your situation is, if you find yourself in that situation, it becomes clear to you whether or not that will help.
Yeah.
And I came to the conclusion that wasn't going to help. Mm-hmm. So it was, in my mind, it was delaying the inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Trouble is, the worst part was that my kids were so young. My son was 4. My daughter was 6 months old, which really, really sucks. So our lives as they are is all, my daughter, her high school graduation party is Saturday. And the reason it was such an important thing to me to constantly be around, no matter where I was, because this all happened when we were in Pittsburgh, and she's my ex-wife's from Michigan, and so the kids were both born in Pittsburgh, but she wanted to be near her family at that time, which I fully understand. She didn't have connections to Pittsburgh. So she's like, I'm not going to hang out here. So, and there was nothing preventing, there was no language preventing her from moving them to whatever. And given the circumstances, I wouldn't have prevented it anyway. Because I move around a lot in this business.
Yeah.
What am I going to tether you to a city I might not be in a year? Mm-hmm. And as it turned out, that's what it was. I was only there for about another year before I went back to Chicago. But so my kids grew up in Michigan. But that's kind of all my daughter has ever known. Mm-hmm. I'm constantly telling Gwen that, Gwen and I have a 6-year-old. And I've done a lot of things with my 6-year-old for the first time.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't, as much as I was making that trip to Michigan all the time, I lost girlfriends because I was constantly in Michigan. So whether I was living in Pittsburgh or Chicago.
They get out of the car and just wander, and you'd be like, I gotta go. I'm not like that bus in the Grand Canyon. I got a schedule.
Yeah, again, when the authorities call me and they say, we found some remains by the turnpike. Could this be one of those women you lost? And I said, bro, I don't know. I'm trying to go to sleep.
That's not my responsibility.
Not anymore.
Here's why I got divorced. When I yawned, my ex-wife would stick her finger in my mouth and say, "Bizzit." That's it.
I used to do that.
Nothing else.
I wouldn't say
that.
that.
And I said, don't do that. And she did it for 10 years, and I said, that's the last straw. I'm not doing it again. No, we're done. There wasn't any other things going on. Just that one thing.
Well, that can be very annoying to people, I've heard people get married for a lot, or get divorced, rather, for a lot less than that.
Finger in the mouth?
Yeah, just
an unwanted finger in the mouth.
I used to do that to my ex. He got really, really mad one time.
Why would you keep doing it?
You shaved your ex? What did you say?
I used to shave him.
Yeah.
And he got mad because he was asleep.
No,
so he would wake up shaved and be like, this is not what I requested.
Right.
You put your finger in his mouth.
Yeah, because I thought it was funny. And it would make me laugh very hard every time I did it.
And you did the same thing that his ex? Really?
I did it, and it would make me laugh every time. And he's
What's
like,
the point of that? Why
funny.
do that?
Because it's just like, haha, gotcha.
But also, why not stop when they say, I don't like this?
Because I still found it funny.
Yeah, but they don't like it.
Right.
So why not stop?
Well, we're not married, so that's also
No, I know, but I'm just, I always think it's funny when people are like...
I mean, we got divorced for a lot of reasons, but that was a thing where I was like, you have to, it makes me rageful when you do that, and it's mostly now because of the fact that I asked you to stop doing it,
yes,
and you're continuing to do it.
That's what I'm saying.
To the point where it just makes me feel completely disrespected. And
it would be
there's
different
so many things that I stopped doing that she didn't like.
Sleeping with other people.
I know, not that. Kept that rolling.
Uh-huh. If you would have stopped putting your finger in my mouth, I would have stopped putting this somewhere else. Now cut it out.
I got married so young.
How old were you?
26.
That ain't young.
People are like,
so young.
Let me explain.
17, 18 is young. 26 ain't young.
It's young.
It's too young for you. I got married at 28, and I said, it was too young for me.
It was young for me considering I had one real adult relationship, and it was her. So, like, I hadn't really dated people. Like, I had one girlfriend after I got back from the Philippines. That was, like, maybe 2 months. And then started dating my wife about a year after that. And that was it. So I was young in like relationship experience.
Yeah.
Well,
and
yeah.
And I also took on three
Kids and all kinds of
and
stuff.
not that she asked me. This is something that people don't understand. It's
You
like,
piled a lot on at
I
one
did pile
time.
on a lot
For
but
not having a litany of relationships before that.
people, because I talk about this in a lot of my jokes, where people are like, "Oh, she was just using you." I'm like, she didn't even want me. It was just me and her for a while, for like a long time.
Using you for what?
to raise her kids, and like I was like, that was not what she was doing.
No.
That happened organically.
It's
over
not like
time.
you were a rich guy.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly. Like I was there around the kids eventually, and then you start building a relationship with the kids, and you become a part of their life. Like that happened organically over time. It's not like the first couple dates that we went on. She's like, and here's the children. They will be, here's their schedule. Here's when you can pick them up from school. It wasn't. She never expected me to do that.
Well, my ex-wife never talked shrimp about me to the kids, and
What a blessing.
it's a blessing, boy, because she really could have, and she didn't. And so for me, I was like, I just don't want my kids to be older and look at me like, I don't know who this dude is.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like always there
Yeah.
as they got older. So when we get to this point, I'm their dad, and I have
Yeah.
a relationship with my kids.
Right.
Because then at some point, they'll go do their own thing. And doesn't really matter anyway. But I'm like, I just didn't want to be. I knew dudes that like walked.
Yeah.
There was a guy who lived next door to us in Pittsburgh. We moved a couple of times. We were there almost 8 years. And the last place we lived was a house we were renting. And the guy that lived next door to me was this real high and mighty dude. He was a mailman, postal carrier.
Oh, wow.
High and mighty guy. And
I was going to say, a mailman sounds redundant.
he didn't like my show. He thought I was talking about all kinds of stuff, right? And he wasn't an old guy. He was younger than me, I think. Or maybe about my age at that time. All high and mighty and blah, blah, blah. And I come to find out that this guy, purely coincidentally, I guess the building that the radio station was in that I worked at was on his route. And he was like poking, the married guy with kids. He was poking one of the receptionists at my radio station. And he didn't know that I knew. But this guy ends up walking out on the family, like leaves the house, wife and a couple of kids. And I was like, man, that's not me. Like, your mom and I didn't work out. But I'm not gonna be that guy that's like, see you when I see you, you know.
My dad did
I couldn't even fathom that.
That's what happened with my parents. My dad, there was a lot. Obviously, it's not just as simple as, oh, hey, I don't love you anymore. There was a lot going on in the house, and my dad got tired of it, and he left. He just left one day.
I can't raise you the way I want to anyways.
He cleaned out all his stuff while my mom was gone. He took everything out of the house that was his, emptied his drawers. My older brother was there the day that he left.
How long until you guys had contact with him again?
We didn't see him for a while. I was young.
Weeks,
I was only 11.
months.
Couple weeks, maybe over a month. My mom wouldn't let us see him for a while. And she talked so much trash.
Yeah.
She still talks trash about.
Well, here's the thing is that
But I also get why people do that too. It's
But
just
it's-
to my ex-wife's credit that she didn't.
it is so damaging
Yeah.
because both of them, all they did was trash each other. So whenever we were with one of them, all we heard about was how terrible the other
You're
one was.
like a referee and you're a kid.
Seriously,
Yeah.
we had to go to court, custody hearings and things like
See
that.
which one you love more.
We were 100% pawns in our parents' divorce. It was really just my younger sister and I. She was 7. I was
Yeah.
11. And so we're going through this where they're like, we have to pick sides. We have to talk about what it's like at each house and all this kind of stuff. And your mom is coaching you and then your dad is coaching you. And
wow.
but you're so young because they're like, don't you, and they're phrasing it. They know how they're phrasing it. Don't you really feel uncomfortable when this type of a thing happens at your mom's house? Or doesn't it frustrate you when this type of a thing happens at your dad's house? And you're just sitting there at 7, like, you know what, that is kind of upsetting, you know.
Yeah.
So if your ex-wife didn't do
That's
that,
why we didn't go to court. I said, I'll give you half of everything I make.
That's great.
I said, because I knew it was mostly me. So I'm like, I'm not going to do this back and forth thing. Neither one of us wanted that for our kids.
Yeah, that's really,
because it was like the splitting up is going to be hard enough.
Yeah,
without doing all this other stuff.
That's so admirable because stuff from my parents' divorce comes up in therapy 21 years later. You know
Well,
what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
my daughter, we were all having dinner after my daughter's high school. Her party's this weekend, but graduation was back in May. And we're all having dinner afterwards. And my ex-wife, we go over and cheers each other. She goes, well, we did it. And I go, you did it. Like, I was here a lot, but I wasn't here day to day. You know what I mean? I'm like, you did it. I didn't do it. I paid for it.
yeah.
Paid for everything, but I was happy to do it.
Yeah, our parents were crazy toxic. Like the one day my mom kept us out of school. I was in 7th grade. And because she wanted to see where my dad lived. So I don't know if my younger sister, she had to have been with us. I can't imagine she left my younger sister at home. She made us lay down in the back seat of the car so we didn't know where she was driving.
This your mom?
My mom. So we couldn't like recreate the route, right? Because she didn't want us to go to my dad's house yet. So this is when we were seeing him like once a week.
You're like a prisoner who's memorizing
Seriously,
the bumps in the road.
how many turns it was.
Yeah.
We were only seeing him on like Saturdays at this point.
It was kind of more your mom keeping you away from him than him not wanting to like see you guys.
But he left because of their marriage.
Right.
So the one day she kept us out of school in the morning, took us to the house and was like, I need you to go into this apartment building and see if this last name is on any of the doors.
It just sounds exhausting for the parent.
Try being the kid, because now we're running in and out of apartment buildings looking for a name that we don't know what it means. We don't know where we're going. She didn't say we're going to see your dad's mistress's apartment. Stuff. So we did all that.
You were like a little special ops team.
Yeah, but we didn't know what we were doing. We're on like a mission.
SEAL Team 6-year-old.
So you're looking for his new girlfriend's name.
My now stepmom's last name. And then we came out, we found it because my mom wanted to know where he lived. She didn't know where he lived. So we found where he lived. And then she took us to school. Then we just had to go to math after that. Where I'm sitting there like, what did I... Because I was about 12, 13 at this point, and I was like, what did I just experience? Like, what information did I just acquire? Because my mom's real upset. And now I'm just at school. So.
Now I'm at school. When's lunch?
Right,
was the house better and like perfectly landscaped? And
it was
like,
an apartment.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say because that would piss me off. Like we lived in a shack, and all of a sudden you got like your grass looks like it's been watered, and you got like you got a driveway that doesn't have any oil stains in it.
You got hedges, huh? You got hedges.
Honestly, like you got like the side paneling where it's not like falling off or it doesn't look like it needs to be power washed. How dare you live better without me?
Wow.
You need to live in like a halfway house after you leave me.
So, congrats to you and your wife for not doing that because it is very damaging.
Yeah. All right, I got to take a break. If you want to get yourself $1,000, you will have an opportunity to do that at 4:30. So listen for that next keyword to go fuel yourself. If you want to text 35192.